I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
And we're here for the finals. It's been a long weekend, and it's only going to get a little bit longer, but we have 3 hours to determine the final. I'm Dave Schmel. I'm here with Shawn, Joyce. Shawn, what do we got in store?
Well, if the two draws earlier today, the quarterfinals and the semifinals, are any indication, we expect a barn burner. We're going to wear out the replay machine. We're going to see some runbacks. We're going to see some draws. We're not going to see any of it for a little bit yet. The two teams were a little late on the draw. We had an extra end this morning and a draw that went right down to the last rock this afternoon. So the teams have the opportunity. They gave them a few minutes in between just to grab a quick bite to eat. They have their practice session. You can see, I think that was the Kalthoff team just throwing their last couple of stones of practice. And here, because both of these teams came through the C event, so they're equal seeds as they come into this matchup here in the final, they actually have to draw to the button, just as they would in the preliminary round, to determine who's got last rock in the opening end of play. We didn't have a chance to see the Totzek team in their draw, so I don't know what Dustin will have to beat. 2 practice stones left, then he'll throw one back down to the other end and get a chance to draw to the button for last rock, and we'll get to spy on it a little bit.
Yes. That game went down to the wire. That last one for Dustin.
Yeah. It you can't argue that, because we talked about it with the triple knockout. You come through the A event, sometimes you don't get to play a lot. There were the 3 A event qualifiers. Just the luck of the draw. In 18 teams, there's going to be a few teams that are set ahead. All 3 of them had been set ahead, so they only played 2 games to qualify. 2 of them lost this morning in what would have only been their 3rd game of the event. They were eliminated. One of them, Borzumi, did win his quarterfinal this morning, lost the semi this afternoon. But for both Kalthoff and Totzek, they had lost the A qualifier, the B qualifier, and had to come back through the C just to get into this final. And so a few more games played, and maybe just a little bit sharper today, as it's been. I think they both got 8 games under their belt, if I remember, 6-2 as they come into the final.
Yep, that's what I got. That's a few.
Very similar stats, both of them averaging just over 9 points a game. Both of them average just over 6 points given up per game. So not a lot to pick between them. I've had a chance to see both teams a couple of times. You and I were calling the Totzek game this morning. You were working the other semi this afternoon. I don't know whether you've noticed or not. It did look to me in the semifinal that I covered this afternoon as though these rocks are starting to straighten out just a little bit. And it's not that they won't curl, because they still will, but it's not coming into the house just quite as sideways as it was before. And it caught a few guys this morning, or pardon me, this afternoon.
No, that was certainly the observation that I had, Shawn. Our game definitely had some stones hang out there wide and stay out there. But then when the skips went to make an adjustment, Team Bonneau in particular, it looks like they overcorrected or maybe caught some fresh pebble and ended up wrecking on a few. So it's changed, but not so much that it's too far out of the realm of what they expect right now.
So that was the final practice shot. Now he's going to throw his draw to the button. No matter where he ends up with this, we don't know where Totzek put his. So unless they jump up and down for joy, we're not going to know for sure who's got last rock until they line up in the hacks again.
So important how the drill shot challenge is in many events. Obviously here we're just going just for hammer here, but you have so many events now where that's an actual tiebreaker and you can get knocked out.
If you're playing in a round robin competition, yeah, they will keep track of all of them through the event and can eliminate you. And I'm guessing that was not close enough to measure. So my guess would be that Totzek's got last rock here in the opening end of play.
Yeah, they weren't exactly jumping for joy there.
No, and they didn't measure it, so.
Yeah.
And if you think you've got it beat, usually you wait for the other team to acknowledge that before you kick it off. So the Kalthoff team playing a little bit shorthanded. Josh Height, normally the third for this team, and he is new to the squad this year, but from a farming background, and we don't know for sure, but I'm assuming that he's missing because they're in the midst of harvest. So Matt Ring is the lead, Sam Wills the second, Dustin Kalthoff the skip. These three did play together last year, and Matt was playing third last year, so no stranger to being in the house. For the Totzek team, and I don't know whether you had any luck finding out who we're looking at here. The lead is Jan-Luca Haag. Their normal second, Magnus Suter. The third is Joshua Suter, and Sixten Totzek the skip, except Jan-Luca Haag has been playing second. The Magnus Suter jersey is playing lead, but we're not sure that's him. That could be.
Yeah,
it might be.
Yeah, you know what? I given them a couple looks. I could buy that they're brothers or at least related. So
it's hard to know. That team photo, at least there was some facial hair on there. So now it's put it more into question. The mug shot on the team pictures, on the individual pictures that I've got in front of me, he's completely clean shaven. And they are throwing in the other order, which that's part of what makes me think, well, it could be a sub. A lot of times teams don't carry a fourth or an extra jersey. So if you have to pick up a sub from a local facility, you'll just have them wear the jersey of whoever they're replacing. But that's when you would move your lead up to play second and have the sub play lead.
It'll be Totzek with the hammer here, winning the drill shot challenge. And this is Matt Ring. So tell me a little bit about this team. I'm not familiar with Team Kalthoff.
Well, they were actually new last year, I believe. Although three of them had been together the year before with a different skip. Been to provincials here a couple of times. Had a good run last year. It's a young up-and-coming team. Dustin is a very accomplished doubles player. Has been to nationals a number of times. I think he had a third-place finish in, I should remember the year because I was calling nationals that year. I think it was 2016, perhaps. And because the two teams that had finished ahead of him had commitments for a Grand Slam, he actually represented Canada at the Worlds that year. Guard thrown up to start this game, the come-around attempt.
One's going to stay wide open there. It's now a chance to throw a hit and roll back underneath. Shawn, it's even more impressive with this team playing three-handed all weekend and being on their ninth game. That takes a toll on you.
Well, maybe. There have been some teams that, we heard the discussions last year. I know it's been something that's been discussed at the national and world level as to what to do about these three-handed teams. And it was a couple of fairly high-profile cases again last year that brought it to the forefront. There are some players, some teams that even believe that it can be an advantage to play with three because those first two throwers each get to throw 3 rocks an end. And you just presume with the extra reps that they'd have a better feel for the weight and the line. And of course, most of the time you're only sweeping with one anyway, so you don't really lose as much. It does mean that with one brusher, he's sweeping every rock of the 5, whereas he's walking alongside 6, but presumably the other guy is the inside guy a lot of the time. It's been discussed at the world level and the Canadian level as to whether or not there needs to be a rule in place for that. And you saw it with some fairly high-profile ones. Scott Howard went through Ontario last year, played three-handed for the entire event, won the province. In Saskatchewan, we had 2 teams start the event last year with only 3 players. One of them had 3 for the entire event. The other one had a guy that was away dealing with some family issues and did make it later on. But it just quietly, it became an issue that when you looked up and realized it, the 2 teams that were only playing with 3 at one point in time were 8-0. Well, it starts to lend some credibility. You get Howard winning the whole province of Ontario. You get a couple of teams that do something like that. It starts to lend some credibility. We've seen some other previous events. Nicholas Adine a couple of years ago winning a couple of events three-handed when he was having issues, injury issues. Gushu, his team winning with some injury issues, playing three-handed. And there's been some discussion at the higher levels as to whether or not it should be allowed.
So let's assume that Shawn is the king of the curling world. What's your vote?
Well, I'm not convinced that it's necessarily the first issue that you need to deal with, but there's something to be said for it, especially with the way the sweeping has developed. When it's typically only one guy sweeping anyway, this throwing 3 rocks an end is an advantage now. It's an advantage if you're the age of these guys. It's not an advantage if you're my age. I think about throwing 30 rocks a game and I just say no thank you. but I certainly see where it's coming from, and the results seem to indicate that there might be something to it. As it is, we've talked for years. Do you want to give the guy the same shot 2 in a row? Well, now, do you want to give the guy the same shot 3 in a row? You pretty much figure he's going to make that 3rd one, right?
Oh, absolutely. That repetition. I mean, that's always a thing when you would peel a guard. You're saying, well, it's a new player, it's a new guard, it's new to them. Now, it's not necessarily the case if they're going to get 3 cracks at it.
Kalthoff continuing to sit 2 at the back of the house now. Totzek going to try to come down and sit on the face of it this time.
It looks like he indicated
move it a little.
Weight. Yeah, move stuff around a little bit. So, stone from Gianluca Hug.
Not able to get by the front one. Brushers stay with it. They do bring it in to just bite the top of the 4, I believe. Could use a darker shade of yellow in those rings.
It's not quite as bad as the Tim Horton Cups of Briar's Pest.
And I've never had the chance to play on those, but you've seen so many guys over the years trip on rocks and that because they get lost. And you wouldn't think from ice level they do. Certainly from the overhead cameras they do. But it happens more than you'd expect.
So now you see this down way to hit, and with that single brusher, swinging around over to the curl side. Gets it by.
Kalthoff sitting 3. Totzek with last rock. They're down to third stones now.
Going to rearrange the furniture a little bit. I think you would try to get this a little bit underneath cover.
Well, there's 2 ways to go about it. You could try to get past the nose and get under cover, or hit just a sliver on the broom side and stay in front of the redstone, and either one is good. And of course, when you say that, that's when you hit it right on the nose. You stay in the open and you roll the other red over to the side. Well, this is not going to get by the front one.
Well, that's an unfortunate one there.
They've had a couple of unfortunate misses. They had rubbed the guard the last time and maybe overcompensating this time. Take a little more ice, throw a little more weight, and they rub the stone at the top of the forefoot.
So now, opportunity knocking here, and definitely going to throw a guard up and apply the pressure. At the very least, put the force in order.
Yeah, probably has to be tight here, even in the rings, because that shot stone is mostly behind the tee line. You don't want to leave him room to freeze to it. Got to be tight.
Not laying a brush to it.
Well, they'd like to talk it into stop curling.
Yeah, it's going to over curl.
Yeah. Could you just stop before you over curl, please?
Just looks like the handle came off of that there at the end. So now do you take that freeze on?
Well, it's getting to the point in the end where I think you have to. You are at third's last stone. I mean, this is a good opportunity to play an offensive shot anyway. You might like to move it a couple of inches. There's room to do that. Move it a couple of inches. You give yourself a little bit more room to make sure you have a chance to score.
So here's the second from Suter.
It looks like it's going to be really good. I actually might have let it over curl. They were so worried about getting it to curl.
Yep, I saw those long strokes there.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anybody do one of them for a while.
Not since they changed the fabric. You know, if he's that much on the inside corner, he's shot rock with where it is. You know, how do you ever... I'm not sure how you get 2 out of that yet. Yellow under red just jams on the back one.
Yeah. Still red as shot stone here. Come down to the corner again, eh?
Yeah, or guard. Like, he doesn't have much right now. You'd sure hate to give him something by jiggling off that stone that was just thrown.
So first stone here for Dustin Kalthoff. This is definitely important to see where this end's going to go.
Sitting one back of the forefoot, the yellow stone at the top of the forefoot. Second shot belongs to Totzek. I don't see at this point in the end that there's going to be any opportunity for Dustin to get rid of that stone, so he has to find a way to make sure it can't end up on the board. for some curl here. He needs to close the gap. I think he's okay where he is. Actually, it looks like they were trying to get a sliver under the guard just to take away the possibility that Totzek could play this red stone over the top of the yellow, which is what I think I'd be playing.
It's worth a shot at least.
I think so. Like, you hit it just right, actually. Kill 3 reds, and you might get a little bit of spin and put that yellow further in behind cover. He's looking at playing the straight draw, and for what I saw of him this morning, you saw him again this afternoon and last night, he does lean to the draw himself. Very good drawer. And that's usually the first thing he wants to do. Find me a place to draw. If he can't find a place to draw, then he might throw a hit. But he's looking for a place to draw.
Yeah, he certainly used the draw to keep the pressure on Trevor Bonneau in the semifinals. Did have to throw a few big hits to save the day, but definitely the draw is what his sweet spot is.
Looking at the run now, you don't have to whip that run either. You could play that with a control, even a bumper weight. It's just a matter of getting across the top of the yellow.
Mm-hmm.
And if you throw it with the quieter weight, you might be able to hang. There you see him talking about it. We might be able to hang the shooter on the edge of the 8-foot. If you hit this right, the 3 reds are all moving somewhere. You might not kill them all with that weight, but you move these reds, spin yours in behind the cover, and leave your shooter in play. It does bring 3 into play, and that might make it harder for Dustin Kalthoff to make a play on the shot stone. He might have to play your shooter here just to make sure he doesn't risk giving up 3 in the opening end.
Well, taking this much ice, it can't be much more than bumper weight.
Bumper weight. That's been the ice for bumper weight all weekend, although it has looked a little straighter today. Took a little less ice from the hack.
So Sixten Totzek with his first, trying to jiggle things around here some.
Sweeping for some curl. He'd like to make contact with those stones in the 4-foot. It's going to drive it just by the one in the 8. And the shooter will roll too far as well. That wasn't very far off. A good shot, though. Needed to come up just maybe another inch.
And it's certainly not the worst leave in the world. So, if you're Dustin, what are you thinking is ideal here? No real way to kill a yellow.
No, I'm thinking you're playing the same shot. You try to come in there and jiggle anything, and that's the only way he's scoring 2. You actually don't need to worry about him playing that little run now, I don't think. I don't think he's ever holding his shooter and getting the triple on the reds if you come in. What I'd be worried about right now, the only shot I see right now for Totzek to score 2 is to come down with that draw weight, and that was the shot he was looking at last time. Get just to the edge of that red stone, and because he can see a sliver of it, right? With draw weight, just move it 2 inches. Have your shooter stay right there. It's just a draw, and you sweep for the little tap.
So,
but you split the center line with a guard, you take that away.
Would seem to be the sensible call.
Well, I don't blame them for trying to look in the house to see if there's something else they can do that's a little bit more aggressive. You'd love to be able to sit 2. It's pretty risky. You come in there to try to sit 2 or even take the corner away, and if you ever jiggle off, you leave a much easier shot for 2. Like right now, if you didn't throw right now, it's there, but it's a real tough shot. You'd hate to leave them something easier. They're thinking if they guard it, he's just going to play red onto yellow and get his single point that way. That's what you see them gesturing at the run back. And he might.
They are lined up pretty well for that. So is he just going to guard that possibly and give him the tough draw?
You could kind of do both. Probably to guard both, you'd have to come underneath a little bit, I think. Could try to just come down, chisel off either one of those red stones out front and end up closer to the center line yourself. He definitely tightened up the broom here. So it looks like he's more worried about the double raise for one. Now again, it's a situation where if you didn't throw, I don't think that's what he's throwing. I think he's throwing the draw to the button. So I have to believe he's trying to guard both shots here. And if you just touch off the side of either one of those reds, just to change the angle, and then have your shooter come over to touch the center line, that's probably the way to take away both shots.
So final stone for the skipper here in the first end. Looks like they're playing that halfway guard.
Yeah. So they're going to protect the double raise for one to force him to play the heavy draw for two.
And I'm pretty sure you just gave him the shot he wants.
Yeah. This, you play it as a straight draw. This is entirely up to the man in the house. Joshua Suter is the third and the vice. You play this as a straight draw. If it looks like you got a chance at the end, you try to sweep it you only need to move that rock about 2 inches, but it's a straight draw first. It has to be a straight draw for the thrower.
So early opportunity here for Sixten Totzek and the team from Fuessen needs to get the button and just chisel the red out just a little bit. Delicate shot. Final stone at number one. Indicating it might be a little bit heavy. Now does the line work out? Is it going to come on over? Does it walk on over and just touch that red? It's going to be really close. We're getting close. Can you move it? Oh, you touched it, but it's going to be just a single.
They just had to wait too long for it to start curling.
Oh, that was one heck of an effort. It'll be a single point for Sixten Totzek. We're underway here in Beaumont. We'll be back after this.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's Ice Pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
You got one, you got two,
Just one more throw, please.
You make moments like these possible.
Calling all curlers, novice to pro. Asham Curling Supply's patented rotator disc system lets you customize your slider right in the store. Velcro attachments make it easy to find the sliding platform that's right for you. Shop Asham Curling Supplies, 700 McPhillips, online at asham.com.
Lively.
And we're back here, the Beaumont Curling Club, the Hack2House Alberta Curling Series Major. Dave Schmel and Shawn Joyce here with you. Second end.
Also joined by the spirit of Juan Valdez. Now we'll see how many guys are out there my age that know what that reference means. The rest of them will be running to Google.
I know he's the coffee guy and the camel, right?
The coffee guy, yep. Fictional character, Colombian coffee guy.
Or sorry, no, he was on a donkey, not a camel.
Oh, yeah, I didn't hear that. Yeah, a camel, oh, donkey. I only care what was in the sacks, and it was coffee beans. It's keeping me going today.
Well, I got my iced tea working overtime. Third game of the day for both of these teams and both of us.
Yeah.
We have it decidedly easier.
Yes. Especially as we get down to the final here, and there's no 4-syllable names in play.
So we had a very tightly contested first end, and it was a very good draw to the lid for Sixten Totzek to get a single. And now Dustin Kalthoff is going to try to see what kind of answer he's got.
Good start to this end. It's been one of the things that it's not just today. We've seen a few problems with teams all week long with the big curl. It's been hard to keep those center guards splitting that line, which is a factor for the tick shot. They've got a good setup on the guard, come dead around it. Dustin can't really deal with the rocks in the middle just yet. He'd like to get one in the corner. I did have their game in the semifinal, and this was one of the problems Matt Ring had. Now, Jim Nix, who was working that game with me, and I were wondering. That's the one thing you don't know when a guy is throwing 3 in a row, and he was struggling seemingly mostly with his second stone, and you wonder, well, is there a possibility he's got a mismatched stone, which I personally think sometimes when you're throwing 3, it's even a little harder to find. But this is a different sheet. It can't be the same stone now, I would think.
Different set of rocks for sure.
That was his trouble this afternoon. He was struggling with the second stone. He'd get the first one up pretty good, and then he just couldn't find the weight for the second one. He'd be deep on one. The next end, he'd be short of the rings.
So Totzek electing to throw another guard up in here. So now 5 rocks in play. The hit parade can come if so desired.
So a little bit of angle on those stones, enough that he can drive the first one across the face of the second one. Should be able to get his shooter out of the way too. If you hit them thick enough, you can make the stone and the rings go away too. But I think it's more important to make sure you get the double on the guards here. Hit it too thick, you just jam everything.
There we go. 1 and 2. Both those guards are gone.
Yeah, he was looking to hit it that much the other side of the second stone. Then he gets his shooter out of the way too. But it's better now. It's his own stone up there.
Totzek is just going to come right back in the pool.
Yeah, there's plenty of room actually to throw a tight guard around that red too. The danger in coming right in, and it's funny to me, as I say that, to talk about danger. But you come into the rings, he's running his own rock back. If he makes the run back double and sticks it in the rings somewhere, now you're trying to prevent him from scoring 2. Whereas if you play the guard and he double peels the top 2, you're still in a steal position. And I say it's funny to talk that way, but the teams have gotten so good at these runbacks that's what you have to worry about, right? It's once upon a time we were just happy if we made contact with something in the rings. Now they're looking at making a run back double and sticking it in play somewhere, and they're not happy if they don't.
That's for sure. I, for one, am happy to make contact.
Well, that's why we're sitting where we're sitting, and these guys are still playing.
Yep. Although I fall in the Totzek line. Give me a draw.
Boy, he sure does like them. And he's been very good at them today.
You know what? If you're good at it, keep on riding that horse. as long as the hit game is not so weak that it's a liability, definitely play to your strengths.
Well, over curls on that one. Drives it by everything. That was maybe the best chance you were going to have now. If you're running back a guard from here on in, it's likely to be the opposition stone.
It's amazing how just one stone can really change the complexion.
Well, and again, we're just talking about how good these teams are at the run backs. They're so good at it, you're actually surprised when they don't make any of the rocks in the rings go away.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely shocked. This one comes on up. It grabs a piece of the center line, but there are angles to make them move. Just don't know if they're 100% good.
Yeah, he can again drive the guard across the face of the one in the 12 foot, have it come straight back. He can definitely get all three of them moving.
On this one, hard to hold the line.
It's close.
On the one over the top. Now, will that yellow clear the house? It will not. It's going to hang on over the side.
That leaves the shot stone dead buried. But again, it's a red stone out front now. Do you really want to come all the way in and have him play the red run back?
Okay, save that. So you would like to just throw a guard on it?
Yeah, I want to come underneath that red stone, overlap him, force him to just play the straight double peel. Now, we're down to third's first or last stone, so he might play some kind of an offensive shot, but right now I don't see what he's got. That stone at the top of the 4 foot it's just real hard to outdraw it. Dustin Kalthoff we're at the point where he has to think about making sure he's got a chance to score one here.
So the stone coming in from Josh Suter.
Yeah, I'd let it stop. Let's see, there's probably a run double there, if not a run triple, onto the catcher on the side. And I think you have to play it, right?
Absolutely. I mean,
even if you double stuff it, if you run red onto yellow and dead stuff it on that stone at the top of the 4 foot, at least now the whole 4 foot is open to score your point.
Yeah, that's not a bad outcome at all.
Well, you know, it's better than what you're looking at right now.
Well, this is suboptimal. So trying to rearrange the furniture here.
That's a lot of syllables for a curling announcer. Too many chances at that run back, and this time he makes it. I do think it looks like Totzek's still second shot.
I would agree with you.
I'd feel better about it if he would have pointed. He looked at both of them, but...
So right now the first indication was just to tap his up a little bit. And if you roll the shooter a little bit...
You can Christmas tree them, yeah.
Yep. And then you're going to really lock it up a little bit. So just there, you see, that's less ice than we were taking in the first draw this morning for a similar shot. So has seemed to have straightened up just a little bit.
Definitely wants to get to the inside here. If he's right on the face or even a little bit on the outside, there is the risk of leaving a triple. You think about where his shooter's going to be. If he's on the nose, he's probably right on the tee on the fountain. That's about half a rock to go towards the yellow on the edge of the 12. So critical to get to the inside here.
So here's the skips first in the second end. Working it hard. Looks like you're going to have to hurry to get past the guards.
Yeah, it's probably time to just stop sweeping.
Well, it's not the worst leave in the world.
Rolled over and covered his own shot. That helps.
Yeah. So how do you pull the skip deuce out of this? Just draw twice underneath?
Yeah, you got to play the come around. I don't see a blank, so you got to make the come around here.
So Dustin Kalthoff is going to have to dial in that draw weight here.
Yeah, and this is one where you'd actually probably like to come really tight by the guard, really tight by the stone at the top of the 12-foot, and overbury it at the top of the 4, because if you stay on the broom side of center line, that red stone at the top of the 12 is available through the port, and he'll be able to make a double pretty much straight back. If you can overbury that stone in the top of the 12-foot, he can't get to the other, he can't get across it enough to make the double. You also have to make sure you're deep enough in the 4-foot that you've got room to get a second one in. But don't you dare be behind the tee line, because Sixten Totzek will freeze to it.
In a hamster's heartbeat. So this one comes on down now. You got to get there. You
got a lot of line.
Got to be full 4. Don't drift behind. Oh boy, I think he did just leave that freeze available.
Yeah, he's left them both shots, but I expect Totzek will play the freeze. He's just so good with the draw weight. And he had a ton of room by the guard too, so there's room to get to the inside of this.
This is definitely the shot that he wanted. And could really put the pressure on Dustin Kalthoff here. You make this one good. I'm assuming you're going to have to try to run back the center one and make something happen.
I'm not assuming that at all. You might have to throw it away and give him a steal one, because third and fourth belong to Totzek, and if you try running anything back and kill your own stone, you could go from steal 1 to steal 2 really, really quick. Possibly even, I guess, to steal 3.
One more check of the running band before he throws it. And the final stone on the way for the Bavarian skip.
Cleaning early, that's usually a good sign for the weight. Of course, you have to expect he's going to be close for weight, but this is not curling.
It's starting to take the line now, but we're trying to work it over.
Still a long ways out there.
Does not sit shot, so.
No, left him room.
Got room to come on in there for 2. So, an uncharacteristic miss on a draw there by Sixten Totzek.
Yeah, just a little strong. You'd like to throw that so that they could brush it into the position you were looking for. It was all there by itself.
And with the way these rocks are positioned, you could even rub off the inside and get there. You have a little bit of a margin here.
Yeah, as long as he crosses the face of the yellow. Anything on the outside of it, I don't know if he'll move it far enough. But both of the last two draws came by the guard with a lot of room. And I think both of them were looking to come tighter by.
So final stone event number 2 for Dustin Kalthoff. Letting this one work. Now we lay a brush to it. Plenty of room past the guard. This has to curl all the way to China. It's going to make contact. Is it moving enough? No, it doesn't. So it's a single point for Dustin Kalthoff, and we're tied up at 1. We'll be back with more from Beaumont right after this.
I thought he cut.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
Because
And we're back here from the Beaumont Curling Club. It's the finals of the Hack2House Alberta Curling Series Major. We're tied up 1 apiece, both teams trading singles. And Shawn, not exactly the way we thought this was going to play out right off the top.
well, there's some rocks in play. It's been interesting. It's not so much with the hits. You know, the 2 games that I called earlier today, we saw some outstanding hits. We saw some runbacks. We haven't seen a lot of those yet this game. Interesting, I thought. Yes, it's been 2 singles, but when you think about it, both skips had a chance with just, you know, it's a touch draw. They're only trying to move a rock a couple of inches, but had chances to get 2. And both of them had to wait for a rock to curl. You know, Totzek in the first end, they had to wait for it to curl, and by the time it did, they just got down to the button and he got his single. Same thing there for Dustin Kalthoff. He needed to get across the face of that stone, and it just took too long, couldn't get there. But the weights have been good.
Interesting there that we just saw them trade out a rock at the hack, so they might have one that they're passing right now. The center guard is up for Dustin Kalthoff, but once again, not on the center line.
Yeah, now here's what I would think. When they're switching a rock like that, I would think they likely feel they have a straight stone. They have given it to the lead. And normally, he's throwing it first. So he had it in his hand, expecting to throw the corner guard. You throw the straight one when you're throwing the guard. You want your rock that curls a little more when you're trying to come around. Then when they decide they're coming around the center, he's switching stones because he wanted the rock that would curl. So that's something to keep an eye on. It's interesting because we've had a number of teams have a hard time holding the center in this entire event, and actually the jersey of Magnus Suter, and maybe it is Magnus, has made that shot a couple of times this game. So, you know, when you've got a rock that you think is a little straighter when it's been hard to hold center, that actually can be an advantage. Mismatched stones, you know, there's some people that like to call them bad stones, and I don't. The teams have to, it's a skill, right? You have to learn to manage your stones. And in this particular case, if he's got a stone that's a little straighter, he's using it to his advantage. And that's good. I'm all for that.
Definitely at times skipping, if you feel like you have a stone that's a little bit of a cutter, you kind of hold on to that for when you might have to make that hero draw.
For sure. You'll keep a cutter, especially if the only reason you'd get rid of a cutter is if you think that it's drastically different in the weight. And that will happen. Sometimes a cutter is that way because it's got an edge on it, a rough edge somewhere, so it bites a little harder. It'll curl more, but if the weight's drastically different, that's a little tough to manage.
So, next rock coming down from that ring.
Makes the hit, rolls into the rings, and now this is the 6th stone of the end. I thought he might look at the double. Going to try to play the hit on that biter and roll well over to the edge of that 12-foot on the other side, get into the rings.
Definitely could be considering a blank end here. Be a good idea.
Sure, that'd be great if you're Totzek here. Blank the third, have last rock in the even end. Rolls across. Might have liked to roll a little bit farther. It still gives the chance for Kalthoff to roll underneath.
A little bit of housekeeping before we threw this one. Maybe they saw a little something.
There's the biggest disadvantage when you've only got 3. If you're the guy who's responsible for housekeeping, you still got to run back because you got to sweep the rock.
So the ring is on this hard right out of his hand. Past the guard, no problem, but that's gonna be past everything, unfortunately. So just gonna do the old split the house here without any of your guards to use.
Might like to keep this biting the 8-foot somewhere. But well out there on the corner. Keep it in the 8-foot just so we can't make the hit and roll undercover for shot rock on that stone that's still sitting in the 12.
And we're coming down here through a fresh path. Working hard to get there. They're pretty even. I think that's a well-thrown shot.
Yeah, I was a little worried about the weight. When your inside brusher is standing straight up with the brush head above his head, that's usually not a sign that he's ever going to have to put that brush down. Nice weight there, though. Sam definitely has a chance to roll behind cover. I think he can catch enough of the 12-foot buried to be shot rock.
Trying to work that roll and does not get quite enough of it. Well, can still make one more hit and still be on the rings.
Well, which is probably exactly what Totzek will be looking for. If you hit that right on the nose, you don't want to roll under here. Hit it right on the nose. Leave it where it's a usable stone for you and a problem for Dustin. You roll in behind. Dustin's going to play the hit on the open stone and try to roll right behind everything, and basically this will be another guard. So stay just out in the open.
So Joshua Suter's stone. It's going to do just that.
That's a really good shot.
I'll tell you, Shawn, I love the discipline they use with the weight there. Nice and quiet. Let the brushers manage it.
Kind of forces Dustin Kalthoff's hand a little bit here. Yes, he could hit the rock way out in the wings, but you're exchanging stones out there, you're probably giving up 2. If he wants to hold him to 1, he's got to play an aggressive shot here, and the problem with playing an aggressive shot here is it brings 3 into play.
And that guard is coming into play, and that house is still looking pretty far away. It's underneath, but definitely...
It's you spoke too soon. It's out the other side. Forget about it.
It is out the other side.
Crazy. There's so much for us saying it looks a little straighter this afternoon. Like, well, if you didn't know how that rock got there, if you were just tuning in now and looked, you'd think, oh, that came around on the intern side. No, it didn't. That was an outturn.
Yeah, that one got me there a little bit, that's for sure. So, well, that's going to hit and roll open here.
Sorry, Dave. We've seen that all day with draws. That's been especially the guards, right? They're trying to put a guard on an existing rock, and it just won't stop. And the farther it goes, the more it curls. And this is the first time I've seen it happen on a rock in the house, but I've seen it lots on guards today where everything curls so hard, and they don't seem to want to stop for you.
Now down it past the guard with a really quiet weight. Now can they get it to clear the house? Get it out of the rings? Yes. Perfectly executed. Not bad at all. So now where do you go if you're Dustin?
If you're drawn again, you're bringing 4 into play. You've got the double, the nose hit double on the one that's just biting the top of the 12-foot, but that's still conceding a deuce. And you'd still have to make the double for that. It's not a gimme.
I almost feel like you had to reduce the amount of yellow granite right now, because
that would be my thinking. You don't want to end the game right here.
It'd be tough to win, but easy to lose. I think he's come to that conclusion.
Yeah, I think you try to play this double. And again, not that this double's a gimme. It's one of those ones, anything that's this close to straight back, and there's 5 feet between them. You hit it on the nose, you get the double. You hit it a sliver inside the nose, you jam it. You hit it a sliver outside the nose, you miss the back one. Like these are way tougher than they look.
So crucial shot here. Totzek threatening with the hammer here in the third. And Dustin Kalthoff has to throw a bailout shot here. Working its way down, and it does wreck on the guard.
Yeah, where was the brush? I thought he must be close. They were never sweeping that hard, and then he ends up rubbing the long guard.
Maybe we can see that again.
Well, I can, because I got the YouTube secret of television. The YouTube feed. You're a few seconds behind us, so.
Yeah, they just missed it. They just missed a brush call there.
Yeah. Because really, to make the double, he didn't need to be anywhere close to that guard. It didn't look like it picked or anything.
So, where do you put one to make sure that you absolutely can score 3 here?
Well, you're happy to score 2. It's hard to put this any place where he's not going to leave some kind of shot at a double. The key is not to let him get the roll behind cover, and this is why he's coming out to the wing. You could come behind, and they did discuss it, but you come behind. Dustin tries to hit off the stone on the edge of the 8-foot, roll to the back of the button, and he might be behind 2 rocks, your shooter and the long guard, and you got a very difficult shot. You draw to the corner. You might leave him a double over there. If he makes it, he sits in the open.
Now, this is where I'm going to have my stupid play-by-play moment. Would you ever consider just throwing one to the back of the rings and force him to throw that really, really, flat double?
If you're in the back of the rings, I don't think he's throwing the flat double. I think he'll throw the slash double. He's going to throw the one that he's got the best chance to make. Like, there's no place you could put it at the back where you're not going to leave a slash off one or the other.
It's an interesting line. We haven't really seen anything come down this path quite yet.
Yeah, most of the attempts to the corner, they have to take a little more ice than this. If this starts curling early, he could be in trouble of running out of rings here.
And there it goes. Now, gotta just get on the rings. Just a bite, just a nibble. Just a little snack. That's pretty close to a full-fledged meal.
Yeah, that's pretty good there, though. There is a double there. It's thinner than you think. Half a rock, you probably go over the top of the second one. But if you make the double, more than likely you're sitting out there. They are looking at it. It is possible because it's high enough. You hit the first stone, come across the top of the second one, push it through, and you might be able to spin up in behind cover. Tough to call for that, though. Because again, if you hit that first stone too thick, you miss the second one altogether. Then it's 3.
So, Dustin Kalthoff, another chance of trying to bail his squad out. Facing 3, this is his last.
Hard to hit this rock too thin, I think.
And that's nicely thrown. That was a key double there. And now it'll be a draw for 2, but it could have been a lot worse. So, final stone on number 3. Totzek just needs to bite the rings.
I'm not saying nothing for fear I get accused of jinxing him. Every time I talk. But
it's in the hands of the brushers now, and they are on it. They're both on it. Now we're going to get help from the house. Oh, don't ever leave it light. I think you're going to get there. And you're fine.
I will say the Magnus Suter jersey, and maybe it is Magnus, he did seem to have that look on his face. Says, what are you guys so worried about? This is good.
So that's a deuce. It's 3-1. Headed into the 4th after this.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Calling all curlers, novice to pro. Ashland Curling Supply's patented rotator disc system lets you customize your slider right in the store. Velcro attachments make it easy to find the sliding platform that's right for you. Shop Ashland Curling Supplies, 700 McPhillips, online at ashland.com.
We're back here in Beaumont for the Hack2House Alberta Curling Series Major. Finals here between Sixten Totzek and Dustin Kalthoff.
Men's event this weekend, and I got too many windows open, but I think it's the women's event here in Beaumont, I believe, is next weekend.
I do believe you are correct in that.
I know that producing this game, we've got James Gordon. I think it's his first game of the event. Producing, he's also the head ice maker in Martinsville. And if he's producing this game, that means the ice is in Martinsville. We've got cameras there and a number of high-profile events coming up there this year as well. There's Saskatoon men's and women's spiels. There is a doubles event, the Allie Jenkins Memorial, and we'll see a lot of the top doubles teams in the country at that one. Swift Current coming up in Saskatchewan yet this fall. And Jerry was informing me before we went to air, I think you were listening as well, Dave. We've got a few events coming up after Christmas as well. Again, another one in, I think he said Martinsville, and there might have been another one in Swift Current. And those are just to take advantage of the fact that with the men's worlds being in Canada, there's going to be some of the European teams here looking for something to play in before Worlds. And I know he said the Dutch team's already committed. There might be a few more of them. So that's a lot of curling to look forward to this year on Curling Stadium.
And that is a lot of four-syllable names.
Yeah, it will be. They're not so bad on Thursday. By Sunday, they're getting tough. It's September for me too.
So the first two stones come into the house for the team from Fuessen, Germany. Kalthoff has the corner guard up, electing to draw underneath with the second. Looks like that's going to peek out the other side. Oh, just tighter guard.
Yeah, still in the free guard zone. That's important. I mean, it's buried well enough. If you would bit the 12, I don't think they could have made a play at it. And a rock in the 12-foot is still a guard on this ice.
Oh, you betcha.
I keep saying ice, and I probably shouldn't. It's one of those things that, we started the Players Association here in Saskatchewan in the early 2000s, and we used to talk a lot about ice. That people were still talking about ice then. And realistically, we know now it's got less to do with the ice, more to do with the rocks. If your rocks will curl, just make the ice flat. And ice makers and even the manufacturers have learned so much more about what to do with the rocks. These rocks likely were conditioned before the event started, and he's got some excellent curl in these stones. They will straighten out a little bit the more you use them, and we've seen a few shots today and talked about a little bit that they might be just a little bit straighter, but they're not straight by any means. They're still getting plenty of curl. Look at the broom here to make the draw to the button.
Absolutely, and ultimately, what you want as an ice maker is, I know it's what our team looks at our club, is just you want to reward good shots.
Yeah, well, when the rocks won't curl, when everything's dead straight, it's so hard to make anything, and that's where you won't see aggressive play. If you're scared that the other team gets in behind the guard, you just can't get at it, well, you're just not going to throw the guard, right? When any shot in the book is possible, you get all this aggressive play, and it's so much more entertaining. It's, even as a player, it's a whole lot more fun to play when you feel like you can make shots.
So Totzek is going to just keep on laying him in there because he has his own guard covering up those two in the rings, and would like to be the top four or even down to it.
Yeah, because those two are behind the tee line, that's probably what influences the decision to come in again here. If you take those two stones and move them to the top of the 4-foot in that same alignment, this might be a guard. Line looks really nice coming in.
It's right where he had the broom.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure if you get them all, can you get them all moving? Yeah,
well,
something's coming.
You can get them
sure.
moving, but something's coming towards that redstone when you do.
Yeah.
At the very least, if you're Dustin here, you'd like to get the 2 stones from in front of the T line moving. To get this right, certainly you can get all 4 yellows moving. I don't know if you can get them out because something is coming towards that redstone at the back of the 8. But if you jam one on there, at least everything's out of the 4-foot. That's better than it is right now.
So on the one over the top, you move it around a little bit, and you do catch that one in that red in the back.
Yeah, that's not the first time in this game that they've been just it's a hair off the broom one way or the other, or a hair off the nose one way or the other. They actually would have preferred to be that much off the nose on the other side of the stone. Then you jam that yellow directly into the 2 behind it.
So
there's always the chance somebody's coming into the red, but
absolutely. So try to set the angles a little bit keep the Christmas tree.
Yeah, the yellow stone at the back of the 4-foot's just about edge to edge with the guard. So if you bury half, that should cover half the stone at the back of the 4-foot as well. I think the discussion is how far into the rings do you want to come? Not sure, and even if we had mics, I still wouldn't be sure because I don't speak any German. But I have to think that's what all the discussion is about. You know, you want to half bury, take away the stone in the back, but now how deep do you want to be? Because if you're right down to the top of the button, Dustin comes down, taps it back to a pocket, might be able to get his 1 that way. Still could play the run back. It is a red guard now.
And there you just said it, Shawn. You know, it's Dustin's going to go get his 1. Already you've taken the play away from him.
Well, that's true, yeah. And the other side of that, if you're trying a Christmas tree and you put this up too high, the stone you're protecting is still behind the T-line. He could come around, try to freeze to it, or even move it a little bit.
This one does appear to need to go.
Yeah, they're straight burying now. And if you're going to straight bury, you may as well bite some 4-foot. Actually comes out the other side again.
Wow, again.
It ended up not bad. Because for Dustin to come after the shot at the back, if he makes a really good shot, rolls underneath, you can see enough of that yellow stone to tap it up if you wanted to. Looks like
it's going to be the call, yeah.
Playing this with some weight to try to get the double on the 2 yellows as well. You play it quieter, but then you're probably just jamming the first one onto the second one. Part of his thinking here might be that maybe we can get back to a blank situation here. Got to get by the guard again.
Oh no, again.
And didn't again. And touched both of the yellows. And didn't get either one of them out again.
What a highly unlikely yet predictable outcome.
Well, Sam's got to be starting to feel a little bit snake bit. I think it was him. Oh no, maybe it was Dustin's first last end that they just rubbed the guard.
It was Dustin's first.
Yeah.
So now you're game on for Totzek.
And it's a situation where he wishes that stone was in front of the tee line, then it would be a straight guard, but it's back, so he's going to have to come tighter for sure. Looks like the call is right into the 8-foot, maybe nibble the 4, and this is over curling again.
This one looks like it has to go for weight as well.
Yeah, it's not going to matter at this point. It's curled to the point where there's room to come around to that shot stone.
Interesting on those angles. We'll have to keep an eye on that later. didn't curl so far to take away the raisability of that yellow in the top 4.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure. I wouldn't be playing this yet. He's going to play it now. I like the freeze on the back one, and this is your shot for 2 if you need it.
Oh, well, I do too.
He's probably thinking to drive the yellow across the face, have the red come straight back, and open up some room. This is a make sure we have room to score shot, then, I think.
So Sam Wells sends it back, spins them all around, and by the time the dust clears, it'll be 2 yellows on.
Nothing in front of the house on the center line, though, and the shot stone is the back of the button. Hard to think that Totzek's going to guard it.
Or?
Well, yeah, they showed it as an option, but here's the thing. You throw the guard, Dustin's freezing.
All day.
Yeah. I think you want to bite the rings if you're playing this. I'd rather have him throwing the double than throwing the freeze right here. If he's throwing the double, he's never scoring 2.
Yeah, especially because the hits have been just a centimeter off either way for him right now. You're inviting an easier shot, I think. So the first is on the way here for for Sixten. Too many ends. Sixten Totzek there. Trying to just nibble the 12-foot on the center line. Trying to hold it out there. Now it's going to keep on curling now. It just needs to stop. And it does. Lined up, but it's kind of long.
Well, it's long. The issue is that there's no double, so if you know you're going to get forced, you may as well try to get forced 2. If you can make the freeze, you're going to have a shot. As long as you get right to the face, you could even tap it back a few inches just to give yourself a little bit more room with your second one. The key is to be right on the face, and then if Sixten follows you down, sits on the top of it, well, you might have to just tip your cap and say, okay, we'll just take our 1. But if he comes in on that shot, I'm not sure how he ever gives up 2. That was interesting. You saw both teams under curl a couple of times in, was that the second? It was the second end. And so Dustin took a little less ice here after he got down to the hacks. This is the same area. This is that draw they were playing in the second end. Couldn't get to the inside corner.
So
Needs
looking
to be right to the face here.
Yeah, get to the face, freeze it, move it back just a touch would be okay too. They're working it hard. Now, does it take the curl? Gotta come on in and not get up to the face.
They overswept it.
They swept the curl right out of it. And just a little bit too heavy. So, you're throwing a freeze back here if you're Totzek.
Well, you could just hit that red. It's you know you're not giving up more than 1 if you do that, but boy, that sure looks like there's a pocket there. If you get into the pocket, you don't even have to be right down to it. Leave yourself about 3 inches short of it. I don't think Dustin Kalthoff can score.
Yeah.
If you're 3 inches short of it, you should be pretty close to splitting your rock's going to be right on top of the pin, and I don't think he's got enough room to move it.
So
He's got the same issue that's 2 ends ago, though, right? And the same issue that Dustin just had. He's got to get ever so slightly to the inside of that red stone. Doesn't look like there's any danger of a rock over curling in this spot.
now he has the broom in basically the exact same place that Dustin just had his. Maybe even a touch further out. Final stone of the 4th for Sixten Totzek. Wanted to just weld one in there.
Looks like tighter line than Dustin's had.
Well, the line is good here now.
Looks like
Where's
more
the
weight than Dustin had, yeah.
Ooh.
Just too heavy.
Could he ever slash him off and hold the shooter around?
Yep. It's not an easy shot. It's not a gimme because you're throwing to hit, maybe a thick half at the most of the first stone. You don't have to whip it because you don't have to get either yellow all the way out. You just need to get them out of the 8-foot. Could blast it out of there too and make sure you score 1. Because the danger on throwing it quiet, I'm looking at too many camera angles trying to decide. What do you think, Dave? If he over curls and hits the yellow right on the nose, misses the second one, who's got shot rock?
I think it's yellow.
It might be yellow, right?
So definitely, this is ice for moderate weight, I would say.
And if he's a sliver on the outside and rolls away, he actually could jam it on the red, and it could be 2. So, there's a case to be made for just blast the double. You hit half a rock on the outside, it goes easy, but you're never holding your shooter to play that.
So, Dustin Kalthoff with a touchy double here to try to score his deuce here in the 4th and level the score. Final stone on the way. On it pretty much right from Jump Street, trying to hold the line. You're going to make contact with the first one, and the second, you roll it out, and you're going to get a single.
Just a little too thick on the first one. Caught the second one very thin, and because of that, it caught the red stone at the back. He didn't clear the red stone. He needed to hit the first one a little thinner, and then the 2 yellows would have gone around that red stone at the back of the 4 and might have been able to pick up his deuce.
So it's 3-2 as we head to the break. We'll be back after this.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's Ice Pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
Into the 4th end break here. Totzek with, I think we've got our scoreboard backwards. Totzek with the 3-2 lead, I believe it is.
Yeah. The bug score is
There.
right. The
There.
line score was wrong. Yeah.
There we go. Totzek with the 3-2 lead when they resume play in the fifth, and it will be Totzek with last rock.
So, how's this game went in comparison to your expectations so far, Shawn?
I'm going to give you the same answer, really, that I gave you the last time you asked. It's partly based on the two games that I saw earlier today. And I saw Totzek this morning. Called it with you. You saw that one as well. And as much as Sixten himself really likes the draws and plays them very well, we saw a number of draws or a number of runbacks and some hits and rolls. And I saw the same thing this afternoon from Dustin Kalthoff's team, and both teams playing in that game. And it seemed like the hit and rolls were being made with a higher precision today than the draws were. It was hard to find the line on the draws, but there's been some really excellent hits thrown today. And so I'm surprised to see that we haven't seen as much reliance on that. And, for Kalthoff's team in particular, a couple of the times when they have played the runbacks, they've just been the wrong side of the nose hit. They're not missing anything by much, but earlier today they weren't missing it at all. So, and then of course, just not as many of them attempted. We've seen a lot more freezes. They're still struggling to get the line on those freezes. That same spot there 2 ends ago had to get to the inside, and I think it was 3 shots in a row between Dustin and Sixten, and just nobody could get to the inside corner.
Yeah, it does look like that intern side.
It must be the in, because that out-turn draw, when they played it, we saw it a couple times, just went sideways and completely over-curled the guard.
So it'll be Totzek with hammer when we get back into action. You'd have to assume he's looking to blank this fifth end and carry the hammer with him to the sixth.
Well, he wouldn't mind that. He does have the lead here, so it's not as critical to have the hammer in the even ends. And one of the things, and I've done this with teams that I've coached in the past too, you have to be alert to this in a situation like this where you get a team like Kalthoff who's down and might be having to play a little bit more aggressively. Watch for the opportunities here, because if you get a team without last rock playing aggressively, they could give you an opportunity to score an easy deuce or perhaps even 3. And those crooked numbers, especially when you've already got the lead, those can be so big, and it doesn't matter whether it's in the fifth end or the sixth. And here's again one of those shots we talked about. It's been so hard for teams this weekend to hold the center line on the guard. He over-curled it again, so not in the no-tick zone.
And by doing that, that's got to make sure that draw path is always open later.
Yeah. Well, and it allows a little bit less risk here for Totzek trying to come around the center. He can, not saying necessarily that he will do this, but you can afford to tight ice this and take the approach that, hey, we're going to come around, but if we crash the guard and end up with 2 corners, oh well, that's not the worst thing. And that's one of the things that went away when they put the no-tick zone in. It was a pretty common strategy for a team with last rock. If you're going to come around the other team's center guard, I know at the level I play with and the leads that I've got, you don't always tell the lead. I'm going to tight ice this. If you crash the guard, so what? Well, you can't do that now when they get the guard to split the center. But it's been a problem here this weekend. Just those rocks, once they start curling, they just won't stop, and they slide and slide and slide, and just like we saw in the last one for Matt, slid past the center line.
So now we have another guard on the way, trying to get a good one this time.
Wants to split the center here for sure.
It looks like it's going to slip into the rings, is it?
And over curl the center again. Now this is something that's dictated by the rules. Now checking to see if it bit. It might be in the rings. Prior to the no-tick zone, it does look like it's biting. They're just going to make sure that both teams agree. Mm-hmm. Going to make a play on it. Prior to the no-tick zone, if your first guard was that far off the center line and you wanted the second guard, you're going to try to make sure they're lined up. The rule has changed a lot of the way teams think, and that part of it, it's fun to watch as the strategy evolves for the changes in the rules. It's been fun to watch through the 3 guard, the 4 guard, the 5 rock free guard, and now the no tick. Every time something like that comes in, the strategy has to evolve.
And as a fan of the game, we all love scoring. Scoring's universally loved in every sport. If you look at football, and all the rules are put in to help the offense score more. And curling is no exception. Ooh, just skinning past. There's a delicate little hit.
Yeah, gets it by the face of his own stone and rolls his shooter into the rings. Totzek sits 2 with last rock here in the 5th.
So now calling for the bumper weight takeout by Matt Ring. Hoping to roll onto the rings here, and they will.
Maybe a little too far. I think they wanted to stay in behind their own. Not because it mattered to bury it, but it actually would have worked as a second guard that way.
So now
wouldn't have allowed this opportunity.
Yeah, right. So Totzek is going to look for the big roll.
Yeah, doesn't want to stay behind now. He's happy to keep the ring split, I think.
So, Gianluca Hug with his first.
Not getting by.
That's on the guard and a roll open. Removing the opponent's guard is not necessarily the worst thing there with Hammer.
Just no weight. Like, he didn't kill it. He leaves it in play in the 12-foot.
It's going to change the calculus a little bit here.
Yeah.
Little bumper weight shot upcoming to lie 3 by the time you're done with this. Just squeezes past the guard. I have to feel like he would have liked to rolled open there a little bit.
Yeah, he didn't want to leave doubles this early in the end if he could avoid it. You keep them spread out, keep them from playing these for as long as possible. He still needs to make 2 of them to get back to a blank. But the first one is lined up for you now.
So the double takeout on order.
He's got more weight this time.
Does not make it, just shoots it right on past.
Left his shooter in an interesting spot, though. It's tough for Dustin to make a play on it. If he rolls out, that's as good as giving him one of the doubles. He'll have a chance to try to group the other stones. The guard is aggressive for sure. And I think the comment that came from the other end might be something to that effect.
Well, it's definitely getting in pretty deep pretty quickly. Because if you ever didn't make the guard right, you're not going to be happy with it.
Yeah. How do you make the guard perfect? Like, if you guard the yellow, he's got enough room to come at it from the outturn side and get at shot rock. If you guard shot rock, you could probably play and completely take away the path to shot rock. You should be able to get yellow onto red.
So it'll be interesting to see what they draw up. It is the guard. It is high.
It is a very long guard right now.
And it is guarding. Oh, it does take that left turn in Albuquerque.
Yeah, but I think he can get to the shot stone with the out turn.
I believe so as well.
And this is one where you could play it with, you throw it back line to Hack. If you rub the guard on the way by, your shooter probably ends up in the rings.
That's not a bad outcome at all.
That's not bad either. You'd be sitting second and third, and can Dustin really afford to ignore them both again? It's there to be made. I mean, the shot's there. He's looking at just playing directly on the guard, I think. Straight peel. You could play the red over the top of the yellow.
Yeah, now I think he's coming back too.
Yeah. Well, this was his first thought.
Based on what we've seen him call, this is his comfort zone.
Well, there's a lot of good outcomes on this, possible on this particular shot. Again, like I said, you crash the guard with this quiet weight that they're going to throw. There's a chance your shooter ends up in the rings.
Working hard to try to curl it over. Now it's taking the line. They're going to get it. Will they clear it? No, and the shooter does spill. So
it's still better than it was. That stone's out in the open now. The yellow stone at the top of the 12-foot after the last attempt, the guard that over-curled, that stone's pretty much buried.
So now Dustin Kalthoff is going to draw underneath of everything here.
Dustin will have to try to hold the force here, and he just needs one little bit of a break, and Totzek could have a chance for 2 or perhaps even 3 here. This does not look heavy.
Well, if you're trying to watch your figure, that's a compliment. If you're a curling stone trying to make a draw, not so much.
Yeah, he could make a play directly onto shot stone right now, but the problem is the come around is still going to be there. So you get there first, hope you have a chance to make a play on that stone later, and it could be for a big end. Wants to be buried here in front of the tee line.
So Joshua Suter with his second rock at the end. Waiting for it to take the curl.
It should go now. It's coming.
It is coming. The line looks really good. It's all about the weight right now. Where is it gonna settle? It's gonna be behind the tee. But still be shot. But now you have something for Dustin to work with.
Yeah, needed that to be in front of the tee line. It gives Dustin a chance to get there first. It's got to be made. I mean, if he doesn't get something in behind cover, I'm going to guess Joshua Suter knows a couple of words of English, and whatever they are, they're funny, because he got a chuckle out of Dustin Kalthoff on the way by. He's got to get something in front of the tee line here. He's in a little bit of trouble. You know, the out-turn side draw to the button is always going to be there, and you have to think that Totzek's going to make it with his last one if he needs to. So you're hard-pressed here. You're playing for the force, because you trust that he's going to make that shot for one. You can't let him get in behind cover in front of the tee line first.
These are the type of shots that you just have to make if you're going to be throwing final rocks.
That doesn't help that there's a couple of yellows already hanging around that he can't do anything about. If you don't make a good one here, you could end up with 3 or 4 yellows on the board.
So Kalthoff with his first. This doesn't look light.
Well, it's a long ways out there yet.
Now it's coming in, but ooh. Did you give him room to move it a little bit? I think he did.
Yeah, it probably takes the other 2 yellows out of play. I don't see them coming back onto the scoreboard now, but it gives Sixten room to come down and sit on the corner of it. You tap it, that's great, but more important, you sit on the corner of it. Make sure you got a chance to score here. Could be a chance for 2 yet. You know what? If you could tap it back about 8 inches, that red on the side is far enough back you could come off of it onto the stone that you're about to tap back. Now that's Dustin's still got a rock to throw in between the two, but
that's the rub there.
Yeah. Well, but you know, if you leave yourself a double on the last one and it's for a pile, Dustin's going to see that, and it does increase the pressure on his last shot. If there's a double sitting back there that would be for 4, boy, you can ill afford to rub a guard or anything with your last stone.
So here's the first for Sixten Totzek in the 5th end. Looking to just come on down to that red in the 4-foot. Move it back just a hair.
I would have said this line was inside of Dustin's, and they switched the brush early. And I think they might have overcurled it.
Yeah, I don't think they have shot there.
They did not need to switch the brush. Now, it's flat, but that double might be there. You look at how high his shooter's going to be when he makes contact. That's what Dustin's looking at.
Yeah, he's definitely taking a look at it. This is the kind of thing in league play at our club. I just hope the other guy doesn't see it.
Yeah.
But these guys, this is what they spend all day looking at this type of stuff.
He's just not going to leave it. He's going to play the hit on that. Probably try to hit it on the outside roll away, because if you hit it on the nose, you actually make it a little easier, a little thinner. Yeah, I don't think you want to roll in towards the center line, because if you nudge your stone over a little bit, you make Sixten's last stone easier. He's got a similar shot right now to what he had in the first end, right? He can just see a sliver of that red stone, the shot stone, beside the yellow that's at the top of the 4-foot. He could throw the same type of draw and try to sweep it to move it a couple inches. Well, you'd hate to come off this red, move that over a little bit, and give him more of it. So I think he's just blasting this out, try to lose his shooter.
So here's the final here from Dustin Kalthoff. It's out there. It does spill them. So now you're going to have that delicate little shot.
Yeah, same thing as the first end, really. The thrower has to throw this as a draw. Now, what happened in the first end when he played it, they had to wait so long for it to curl, he just wasn't able to get there, but
looks to be just a hair easier this time.
I don't know if easy is the word I'd use. It's a tough shot, but I mean,
sure,
it's there. It's there, and it's because he draws so well. It's throw it as a straight draw. He doesn't have to move it very far, that's for sure. And because they curl in so hard at the end, he'll be coming in at almost like an angle, which makes it, I guess that might be what you're talking about. It's easier than it looks, I guess, because it's coming in at an angle rather than almost straight as it comes by the guard.
Yeah, right. So basically, you let it come on down, and as soon as it gets to the forefoot, it puts the blinker on.
Yeah, and if your weight's close, if it overcurls a little bit and you touch the yellow, your shooter just spins into the button off that too. I mean,
you're fine.
You can go at this fairly aggressively as long as your weight's, right there. You want to be right on the tee line and let the sweepers make the shot. It's hard to make this right out of your hand. This has to be swept to make.
So Totzek with his final stone of end number 5. Gonna come on down and just caress the red stone out of play. Just to be sitting on it hard for the weight right off his hand. Pressure's got to get it there. It's got to get there if it can ever be there.
Boy, he's close.
It's going to come on down. It's going to, just as we discussed, wick the zone and roll onto the button. So he gets his single. No harm done there. And it's a score 1, 4-2 after 5. Back from Beaumont after this. So
I think if he gets it by the yellow, it moves far enough. Just judging.
Right. Feel differently. I look at
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline, join the revolution.
You got one, you got two,
Just one more throw, please.
You make moments like these possible.
Calling all curlers, novice to pro. Asham Curling Supply's patented rotator disc system lets you customize your slider right in the store. Velcro attachments make it easy to find the sliding platform that's right for you. Shop Asham Curling Supplies, 700 McPhillips, online at asham.com.
3-2 though.
And we're back here in Beaumont. 6th end of the Hack2House Alberta Curling Series Major. Glad to have you with us. Dave Schmel and Shawn Joyce with you. And we got a good one cooking. Totzek scored a single there. Dustin Kalthoff has the hammer here in end number 6, trailing by 2. And then have to try to score a deuce here at some point.
Well, I'm not sure what happened to that stone. It made a hard turn and it ends up being a hogged stone. The brushes were down, but it sure acted like it picked.
Looked like it picked up a lot of extra rotation. So second guard on the way. Could be coming in, but likely a guard.
Well, if he dead buries it in the 12 foot, like I said, it's still a guard basically. But if you're into the rings, you want to bury this so that they can't make a play on it.
Well, we are in the rings. The question is, will we remain in the rings? And there's that second stone again. And that is in the back, and it does appear to be out of play.
I think it's outside of the rings. Now I think so even more.
Crack production crew. So Totzek here playing the lead. Continuing to just drag him on into the house and force Dustin Kalthoff to have to build something in spite of him.
I got those two a little too close together, I think. You might see the call for the nose hit. Typically when you're playing rocks like that in the middle, you want to leave a little bit of separation. Right now, if Dustin hits the top one out right on the nose, he's going to stay frozen. He's even thinking about playing it quiet, try to leave the stone in the back of the 8 foot. It's more important here to hit the nose than it is to worry about the back stone.
Yeah, when you're trying to generate a multiple score, having those catchers can be helpful.
Yeah, needs to hit the nose though, and this is already curling. It's got no weight either.
So are they going to be able to get it under cover over there? Wow. So either we read the call wrong or something went horribly incorrect.
No, he was definitely making the play on the yellows, but what happened to that, I don't know. And we did see a hog already this end that looked like it might have picked. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of trouble all weekend long, and we're only in the sixth end. Is there a possibility it's getting a little flat down the middle? I'm just speculating. You would think if that was going to happen, it would have happened earlier in the event. You wouldn't think it'd be happening in the final when you're down to only one game on the ice, and it should be a little bit cooler out there.
Now this takeout attempt gets around the guard and will clear the one in the back without a problem. So now indicating a freeze as opposed to a tap back.
Yeah, it might be overthinking this a little bit. I still think the nose hit with like hack weight is easier than any kind of draw weight freeze. Draw weight freezes are tough.
So the stone from Sam Wills coming on down. It's going to get there. How much is it going to bounce? It's relatively well thrown. But
leaves the three of them in the line, and Totzek looking for the guard now.
So the benefit of doing this, as you had discussed earlier, is when Dustin does have to make a play on this, he's going to be using the wrong guy's rock.
Well, yeah, and he needs, because they didn't tap one back there, they didn't play the hit, they didn't move the back stone. They still have to hit that twice to get rid of both yellows. You're only going to get rid of the back one the first time you hit it. Oh, they do not want to be right down on top here. Well, staggered it the right way if you're Totzek, because if for Dustin to throw any weight at it, he's going to pop the red one out into the open.
Looks like he has no choice but to rattle that cage now.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he needs to throw it as hard as this, but if you hit it right, you might be able to get 3 yellows to go. It'll be that the middle yellow in that line of 3 isn't going anywhere, but the top one after it hits the red could come across and take out that yellow at the side of the 8-foot.
So on the one, bang, 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 the red goes out the side door.
I think they were hoping that red would stay on the side of the 12-foot somewhere.
Yeah, still Totzek, rather, line 3. They're going to take their time out here. So break down the options for us here.
Well, I think you're hitting the red. The question is, where do you hit it? It's a little risky. You hit it off the nose either way. You could jam something. There's probably a little bit of room to hit it on the outside and roll a couple inches, and I don't think you want to do that. You pretty much need to hit it right on the beak. If you roll a little bit to the outside, there you see them indicating that would leave room for Dustin to get to the inside of that yellow and roll in behind the corner. He'd certainly take the play away from the middle, and that reduces his risk as far as a steal, and he can play a little bit more aggressively now for the rest of the end to try to get his deuce, because I don't see a blank coming.
Trying to see if I recognize the coach. I do not.
Yeah, I was looking at that earlier too, and I don't think that I recognized him either. Like, if you took that red out of the rings and rolled away, just take that red out of there, what does Dustin have right now? And he's probably got at least a double off the one on the center line into it. If he can come into the pocket of the other 2, he might be able to get all 3 of them. So if you're hitting the red stone, you got to be careful not to leave him too much of the inside of that yellow.
So it looks like the call has been made, trying to hit and roll over in front of yours. Have to be careful here.
Yeah, a little bit. Now, I wonder if part of the thinking, and they didn't gesture it. Now, if you're going to play to hit it this way, boy, if you ever could, you'd love to just rub that yellow stone on the way by and not leave the in off on that, even if you lost it. Kill that stone, but sit 3 on the corner. That's not a horrible result.
So here's the stone from Josh Suter.
Quieter than I thought he was throwing it. This is already well past the nose. This is trouble.
Danger, Will Robinson. You lose a couple of your own here along the way.
Yeah.
And now, just like that, Dustin Kalthoff is hitting shot.
He's got to be careful not to leave a deuce or a double here. He's got a shot at 2. Not sure I see any way to set up more than 2, so you got to be careful not to leave the double. Just going to talk out loud. You could jump in any time here. You could play the draw around the corner, try to corner freeze on that yellow. If Totzek hits the red, how does he not leave a double? Try to draw right there, right where Sam had his broom.
Looks like the angles. That is tough.
Try to hit that yellow, get it by the red, and roll to the open side. That's tough. That's tough not to leave a double to playing that.
I was thinking for a moment to try to hit the yellow on the right-hand side as we're looking at it, and skitter my shooter under that way.
Roll behind the corner, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Could leave
probably
a double
an easier
that way
shot.
Too.
Yeah, probably an easier shot. Much more makeable.
The more I look at it, the more I'm liking the draw. They did look at it. Seems like they want to deal with that second shot stone right now. It's really hard to deal with that stone right now and not leave a double back. You make the draw over to the corner. Granted, you do have to be third shot. But what can Totzek do with shot rock without leaving a double? I don't see there's anything he can do without leaving a double.
I'd be inclined to agree with you. So, here's the final for Sam Wills.
The whole key is here. No, don't leave a double. That's Totzek's get out of jail card is if you leave him a double here.
Okay, we're coming way across the face. Now you make contact. Do you get it by? You do. I'm pretty sure there's a double there.
Yeah. I mean, it still has to be made, but you didn't have to leave it.
Yeah, throwing that draw would have certainly made it more complicated, but at this point in the game, you need to. It's going to be complicated.
Totzek was going to have to deal with shot rock, and where does he go to not leave a double back? You know, if you ever got the corner freeze, and he leaves you the double back, you know, maybe even to roll in behind yourself. Like if he rolls in behind, 3's not out of the question, and 2 is definitely there. You make the corner freeze, that rock's never leaving.
They gestured real quick. Any chance of jamming on the back there?
Well, yeah, there is. I mean, it's a possibility, but if you do jam, I mean, you're still going to be sitting 2, and likely no double unless you spin up. There's not a lot of time for Dustin to try to bring that stone back into play, even if it did jam.
Here's Totzek with his first in the 6. Make the 1, make the double, and out the back.
Yeah, a little thin on the first one, loses the shooter.
So now Dustin has to wrap around and throw that draw anyway.
Likely no double unless you spin up. There's not a lot of time for Dustin to try to bring that stone back into play. Just a hair thicker on this one.
Here's Totzek with his first
area.
in the 6.
Have to make a play
make
on
the 1, make the double, and out the back.
Yeah. Look.
Now it does give him the opportunity to try to get the old skipper's deuce here.
Still a very good double, and we talk so much about how good Sixten has been at the draws. He can throw the hits too.
So, Dustin Kalthoff with his first in the 6th. Looking to find a way to manufacture a deuce.
If you could corner freeze the yellow, that's the hardest shot to get out of the rings, but you could come around the yellow. This has got a lot of room though, and looks like maybe a lot of weight.
It's through the 8, through the 12, and almost all the way out the back. So that's a key miss there.
Just do not leave a double here and you're good.
Yeah, that one just skated on him, and they knew it right off the jump from Jump Street.
Yeah, it wasn't much you could do with it. I've seen a few teams try to make a rock curl, but it doesn't slow down when you do that. And you know, he did have that red just off the back. He did touch it. You could have come down to it, but you wouldn't have been shot rock. That's, you know, good awareness for them, I guess. You could be looking at that thinking, well, so the way to save the shot is to come down to the back one. Well, coming to the back one wasn't ever going to help them. They had to hope that slowed down, and it just wouldn't.
So Totzek drawing the house here, just trying to not leave a double for his opponent.
Yeah, it has to be at least top 4 here. Only thing that hurts him is if he's high.
Well, this isn't high.
Back of the house doesn't hurt him. You're just playing for the force. You're not thinking about stealing here.
No problem.
actually, there's an argument to be made. That's not a bad spot to put a stone if you're playing for a half-shot steal, because if Dustin hits this off the nose, it's already at the tee line. You can start sweeping his roll right away. Don't have to wait for it to cross. Don't expect he'll be throwing a lot of weight at this.
And if you ever were to be a little bit too thin.
Yeah, I don't think he could roll onto any of those stones at the back. If that's where you were going, I think he'd be too far back. It'd be a steal of one.
So final stone at number 6. Dustin Kalthoff needs to make the nose hit here. Already the skipper's trying to walk his own over.
There it goes.
It's right up to the face. And the hit and stick is made. It'll be a single point. 4-3 after 6. Totzek with the hammer and 7 when we return.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
So we're back here in end number 7. The Hack2House Alberta Curling Series Major. It's the finals. Dave Schmel and Shawn Joyce bring you the action. We're happy that you joined us here today on Curling Stadium. It is Sixten Totzek with the hammer and the 1-point lead here in end number 7.
I was talking earlier about all the upcoming action and mentioned there's going to be a number of events in Martinsville this fall and again in the spring. James Gordon is the producer for this game and is also the head ice maker in Martinsville. He did send me a message. A couple other things to take note of. I guess the ice isn't quite ready. It'll be ready on Tuesday. And he also mentioned, and I knew this, I hadn't mentioned it yet though, that they've got new rocks this year in Martinsville. And I'm going to mention it, and I'm going to say, because I can't remember where they're from, so I'm expecting I'll have another message from James here shortly. I want to say they were from K's, but they could be Canada Curling Stone. Brand new rocks. So you see all these shots you see with some of these lively striking bands, you'll be able to make everything in Martinsville.
New rocks are always fun.
You get those brand new striking bands and doubles and triples, and the rocks fly. We'll have them conditioned so there'll be plenty of curl. Going to be fun to watch.
So Totzek bringing his first into the house. Dustin needs to generate something here.
Well, I get all kinds of extra information. K's with the Welsh granite body they're offering as an alternative option to the common green body. So I just wanted to know the manufacturer, and I get all the details.
Well, I'm assuming they had the Blue Hone inserts for the running bands.
Yeah, he didn't specify. He just said the same inserts as the common green, and I know the Blue Hone is the most common used, as long as they can find it. And another one I'd have to Google. I know they were running short on it at one point in time, and then I think, if I remember right, they found another vein.
They did, but a big majority of the blue hone inserts right now are from reclaimed stones.
Yeah.
And you can get, I think, about 4 or 5 out of a stone. So stones in my club, we have Treffer striking services with the blue hone for running CCS stones.
And that's it's just a question of which Treffer, but that's the more common configuration right now. The Trevor granite, and there's a couple. There's a green and a red, I think, and they're a harder granite, so they work better for the striking surface.
Yeah.
A little bit softer blue hone gives you the good running surface.
We're the red Treffer.
Okay.
So that's more than many of our viewers ever need to know about curling stones.
There is actually, you can find it on YouTube if you're ever interested, and it's under a program. I'm not sure who it was originally contracted to. The show's called How Is It Made? And one of the episodes did look at how the curling stones are made with the inserts.
Yeah, I watched that very episode on the Discovery Channel here.
I think a lot of curlers have seen that episode. It's quite interesting to see how they're made. And it is a different process than it used to be, because they didn't used to be inserts. It used to be solid stones. I know our old stones at my home club, Nutana, here in Saskatoon, were blue hone stones. So when we bought our new stones and with inserts, there was some value in the old stones, because, as you said, they can cut. It's 4 or 5, and I can't remember the number either, inserts out of those old stones.
So Totzek here with the hammer, and now the free guard zone is over. He can remove some of these pesky redstones.
His whole intention here in this 7th end was to try to keep the blank alive, and that's why he's throwing everything to the middle. He didn't even attempt to throw a corner guard here. Scoring is not the first thing on his mind this end. Now, that's not to say it might happen, but the reason it might happen is because Dustin Kalthoff might have to play a little bit aggressively here. He does not want to see a blank end.
And we are going to make the double peel there.
That's a nice shot.
Lee's a very long corner, but these stones are curling so much.
Yeah, that's a tough double peel, and because it's not the way they play it as oftenly anymore. A lot of times when you're playing those double peels, you're trying to run it across the top and into the rings. Well, he couldn't do that this time. It was 2 red stones, and to hit them on the same side and still have enough action to get your shooter over, that's a very good shot.
So now another guard has to be upcoming.
Yeah. This is where, when you've got a team with 3 players, it's hard on the commentator to keep track of what stone we're on. Because he's the third, but he gets to throw 3 of them, and he'll throw 1 more guard, maybe 2. Might even throw 3. He'll have to make a move in the rings at some point in time, but you come in too early. Totzek gets too many chances to blast, and he can get back to a blank situation, and you just don't. Dustin Kalthoff really can't afford to see a blank here. He'd rather give up 1 than get the blank. He'd love to steal, but that kind of looks like it's out the window now.
See a comment that the BBC did a curling stone thing. I know that the one I watched was produced in Canada, actually. They were showing the process that actually is used at CCS. It was filmed there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so. That sounds right.
I showed my US-ness there. I didn't say process. So another guard.
Managed to take that little catcher off the edge of the... It was in play. It's just a rock that you might be able to jam on and bring something back into the rings. It's gone now, too. I'm looking at the situation in the house myself and trying to decide at what point in time does Dustin make a move in the rings, and what's the move going to be? You could play the double on the yellows and try and hope to get to a force. The problem with that is you're going to leave a double back, so if you're going to play that, you have to play it really late.
Well, with that one over curling, Sixten Totzek indicate that he's going to look to possibly make a play on the one in the house now.
Yeah, play the double on the reds.
So Joshua Suter is going to be called on to perform that task. His first on the way. Line looking pretty good now, working over just a touch. You get the top one. That's the most important one to get.
And roll the shooter out of play too. That's key there. Yeah, it would be nice to get them both, but as long as you just peel that guard at some point in time, Dustin Kalthoff has to make a decision. And again, outside of the double on the yellows,
it's not a good one.
Yeah, like he could play the tap on the red, but it's hard not to leave a double doing that.
Yeah, right now we're just on shampoo patrol. Lather, rinse, and repeat. And eventually somebody has to make that move. They gave him more ice here. It's going to be a very long guard.
Very long guard might be okay, because that might be enough to tempt Sixten to make a play on shot stone directly.
He's thinking about it.
and you know, right now, if he picks that out and rolls away, Dustin can come right around everything and try to bury around the two yellows. So,
well, now
tempted him, but didn't tempt him enough.
Cooler heads prevailed. He decided to put down the jelly donut and just throw the peel.
Yeah, I think this is a straight peel this time. A lot of separation. I don't think he's going after the one in the rings at all.
Well, they were brushing this before he even let go. That's a nice, well-executed peel. Loses the shooter. So now we're on Skip's rocks. I have to make a decision at some point. We're going to throw one more.
He's actually, by the looks of it, going to try to force Sixten to make a decision. You throw one more guard, and Totzek has to make a choice, because you know that if you just peel the guard, he's going to play the double, and you're forced.
So you're inviting Sixten to either make a play on the redstone, or
he could make an aggressive play, but I mean, if you're going to get a steal here this end at this point in time, you have to give him that chance and try to tempt him to do that.
So first on the way here for the Canadian Skip.
You could come in right now and try to tap that red back on a little bit of an angle to get shot, or at least maybe corner frozen for second, but it's really easy to leave a double playing that. He's got to get back to the center line, though. You don't want to leave the second shot stone exposed, and he will. Ooh. Well, that makes this a lot easier.
Yeah, you have plenty of room. You can see clearly now the guard is gone.
You want to stay at this right on the nose. You want to stay fully in the open, so that if Dustin Kalthoff comes wide around everything, you've got this stone to run back. And I don't know what Dustin Kalthoff does at that point in time. He still might have to come around. I don't think there's going to be a triple there. So I don't think you're getting back to the blank situation.
So the first here for Totzek on the way. Bringing it over.
Touched his own stone.
Interesting. Did that change the landscape at all for you?
It's actually probably better for Totzek.
That's what I was thinking of, my first instinct.
Nothing's overlapped now, right?
Yeah, right, because you had those two stones corner hook there on the one side.
Yeah. Dustin could play the hit and roll off the yellow. The problem is it's still a very short run off the yellow at the top of the 8-foot.
Well, what else do you have right now at this point?
Well, I think he has to come right around everything, and that's the problem, is that now, even if you're to the back of the 4-foot and kind of bury behind the shot stone, it's completely open. He could play the short run on it, too. Is there a way you could get to it with a freeze? Not that that's easy, but...
I just think the stones curl too much.
Yeah.
I think that if you...
By the time you're by the corner...
Right.
Yeah. Well, and even if you made it, it's still an open draw for a guy who hasn't missed a draw. The one thing I've learned in the last couple of days is if I ever get a chance to play against Sixten Totzek, I'm not leaving him a draw.
And the triple just isn't there.
Triple's not there. You could maybe hit and roll off the stone under the tee and tire, try to roll to the inside corner of the shot stone, but you're still not going to be shot rock. And Totzek just doesn't miss draws. You're going to have to come to the back of the 4-foot here.
So here we go. We're going to come all the way around the outside here. The good news is you've thrown this line a few times on the guard attempts, so you have at least an inkling of an idea of what the speed is out here. The bad news is you're leaving the other guy a pretty easy shot.
If you make this shot perfect, it's going to be a short run back, but it's all you got at this point.
So facing 3, Dustin Kalthoff needs to find the back 4.
Yeah, maybe just nibble the back of the button, leave the short run on the shot stone as steep an angle as possible, and leave some separation between the top one. That's probably the best you can do, because you come right to the back of the 4. The short little angle on the shot stone is just too easy.
Okay, we're around the guard, no problem. This has some curling to do, and it has some stopping to do. And it is going to come to the back 4. It's second shot, but that's very gettable.
Well, and do you have to? Like, if you just draw for 2, you're 3 up coming home.
Oh, sure, that's pretty... I like my chances that way. Yeah. He's going to try to just push this just a couple feet and put the dagger in right now. So final stone coming up for Sixten Totzek.
If you can get to the nose with enough weight to move it, it's probably the final stone of the game, not just the 7th end.
Ask for just a broom or ice.
Doesn't even need to get it all the way out. He only needs to move it
About 2 feet.
Yeah, if that. 1.5 feet probably. A foot probably is good for 2 or for 3, I guess, because the shooter will be the 3rd. 18 inches probably gets him 4.
Final stone of the 7th end for Sixten Totzek. You just need to move it back. Get it down to it. Move it back 1.5 feet.
Release looked a little in out, and they've jumped for the curl early. This is a lot of weight.
Now, will it come up? Will it come up to even make contact? It does make contact, but it's only going to be the single. So, reprieve there.
Yeah, I didn't love the call, and he didn't throw it the way he needed to make the shot.
So it's
still got a 2-point lead, though.
Yep, 2-point lead coming home. Kalthoff will have the hammer. We'll be back after this.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Calling all curlers, novice to pro. Ashland Curling Supply's patented rotator disc system lets you customize your slider right in the store. Velcro attachments make it easy to find the sliding platform that's right for you. Shop Ashland Curling Supplies, 700 McPhillips, online at ashland.com.
So we're back here for final end coverage of the Hack2House Alberta Curling Major.
Might be a little presumptuous to call it the final end. There's no guarantee.
Well, that's true. 8th end of play, rather, from the Beaumont Curling Club. I'm Dave Schmel, Shawn, Joyce with me today, and we're happy to have you with us.
That was another case where I would have liked to have had mics on the players. Of course, I would have needed an interpreter as well, but I'd be curious to know what he had intended to throw for weight, because that was, when he put the broom down, that was a lot more weight than I thought he was going to throw. And then on top of that, he was a little in-out on the release, which just held it that much straighter. I thought he was just throwing heavy draw. And that was good hack weight out of his hand. Didn't get the line he needed.
So now Dustin Kalthoff has to play for a deuce here at the minimum at all costs. And Totzek knows it, so in come the Rex.
Yeah, I've had the privilege of calling a few close games today, and so you'll see this script played out a lot. First stone into the top of the 4-foot, corner guard, likely to throw a second corner here. The question will be whether he plays it to the same side or opposite sides. He's thinking about playing the rock in the rings. I don't love that. I don't like coming into the rings even behind the corner.
I certainly don't like a draw to the 4-foot. I feel like you need to throw another guard here. So he's indicating like back 8 weight, so he's going to just release him.
Yeah, trying to move the yellows. I'm with you though. I don't like this. It's going to leave Totzek the chance to blast something out. You could still very easily get a chance for your 2 this way, but you're almost it's almost like you're giving up on any chance of 3, and we're only on lead stones.
So Sam Wills sweeping this down. Gonna come into contact. It does unlock it. Now, I'm pretty sure you can just lean back and fire, and that's gonna go away.
Yeah. I mean, Dustin knew that this could happen. He was okay with losing 1 on the blast. He would have liked to have maybe gotten that 1 yellow behind the tee line, but now you're trying to generate points for the rest of this end with only 1 really wide corner guard. You can get your deuce like that. You certainly can. Hard to get 3.
So we haven't seen a lot of bigger weight hits here, but Jan Luke is going to be called on for that now.
might have been a little outside on this. I don't know
Yeah,
if
it
he's got
looks
the
like-
red one at all.
Yeah.
Picks it clean.
You couldn't have done that if you tried.
Well, I don't think he was trying. I think he would have preferred to lose that yellow stone. Any rocks in the rings now are just rocks to help Dustin Kalthoff, and especially when they're a little stagger like that. It's not that he's going to play it yet. He's going to try to use that corner guard, but you could tap the yellows to a pocket pretty easy. If you're going to try to generate 3 without 2 guards, then you need 1 corner guard and try to use something in the middle of the house to get a jam. That's the same as a guard. So he's got stuff to work with right now. Not able to get that one into the rings, but again, they're lined up. Totzek has to hit it on the center line side. He can't risk bringing it into the middle. So if he's going to get the double, his shooter's probably sticking somewhere. If he straight peels the guard, he's okay with that.
Yeah, Dustin would be almost forced to throw another guard.
Yeah. Now you see this is coming from the other end. There, I think the discussion there, and he never even stood there. You were not changing his mind here, but I think they might have been looking at playing the guard and forcing some pressure the other way. You don't usually play that. That's a shot you see a lot. Again, as I talked about the ends, how these ends set up. The 5th stone at the end, because they still can't peel guards, a lot of times they'll throw the center guard on the 2 in the middle.
This is just a straight peel over the top.
Yep. I don't like this yet.
This seems a little early to be coming in here. But
I'm throwing a guard on the P in Boston Pizza. And where does he peel it that he doesn't risk jamming on something? You could maybe even put it a little over closer to the center line. He's not likely ever going to peel it towards the yellow ones.
So this one looks like it's gonna certainly come in. It's gonna come right up to the face of the yellow. Move it back just a touch. Leaves the Totzek stones sitting right on the tee line.
Gets the pocket. That's what he was looking for. Now for Totzek to clip one of the yellows, he's probably got to lose both of them, and then it'll be just the corner guard left to work with, which, again, that's all Dustin needs to get a chance for his 2.
So here's Suter.
Actually don't want to pick it clean this time. You need to catch one of those yellows on the way by.
Yeah, that pocket's not your friend, and you did pick it clean. So now Dustin got what he wanted, an opportunity to get into that pocket. Still have to make it a good one.
Yeah, you got to be right in the pocket, and you really don't want to move those rocks yet.
Yeah, it can't bounce at all. Can't afford to move them even a fraction of a millimeter. Trying to drag this one for the weight now. Don't want to leave any separation, and you do get right down in there. I think you left enough for him to get it to make it go, though. You'll lose a yellow along the way, but I think it goes.
I think he's coming off the corner guard.
You can certainly do that.
Like, you try to blast that, and if it doesn't leave, you've conceded the deuce. If you play the peel, even if you don't hit the one in the rings, Dustin's he's got nothing else to work with, right? He's going to have to come back in there again, and he only needs to leave you one chance at a double. He's going to have to group his rocks. But you could kill the two reds playing this, and it would be all but over.
So here's Josh Suter with his second here in the 8th. Looking to throw the double.
Sweep spin off and on. He's got to be close.
There it goes, and away it goes, and you get that double, and all the reds are gone. Great shot. So here's Josh Suter with his second here in the 8th. Looking to throw
And
the
a bonus
double.
look at it. Sweep spin
And
off
we're
and
on
on.
the
He's got to be
one.
close.
There it goes, and away it goes, and you
Speaking
get
of the
that
bonus,
double.
just the way he hit it, he's now left. I mean, there was always going to be a pocket there, but they're not straight across now. He's at least moved the back yellow one and makes it a little tougher. Dustin wondering, can they come wide around on the outturn and freeze the stone in the back 12-foot? That's probably there. It's going to look really tough, and it's not a shot you're accustomed to throwing. It's a desperation type shot, and you see it played in these types of situations all the time, but it's not a high percentage shot only because you're not used to throwing a draw to the back 12. Not the brusher, or not the thrower or the brusher. It's a tough one to call.
A lot of times you're not even sure how to ice set because
Yeah.
you're traveling that extra 6 feet. And that's your 6 curliest feet. And we are going to be right up against that shot stone. It looks like if you catch half the rock, it's going to go right through the hole.
Well, even if it clips both of them, I think it leaves.
So,
And I'm not sure it'll clip the higher one, to be honest. It might get behind it all completely.
I think it likely does go behind, yeah.
He's not going to be able to be quiet on this one. He's going to have to throw some weight. You look at where the front edge of the stone on the tee line. So you look at the front edge of that stone, the back edge of the other stone. Those are about even. So it's got to come back a full rock by the other stone. So it might touch it. I don't think you'll ever lose it. You might touch it. But if you're jamming off the yellow and then touching the other yellow stone at the back end, you need some weight here to make sure that red leaves the rings.
So, Sixten Totzek is going to be looking to dial up the heat here and make this red stone go away.
If you can double the red-yellow that are sitting one in front of each other on that side of the button, Dustin Kalthoff may have to try to come around the stone in the 4-foot to the back of the 8.
This one's on the way.
And he touches it.
Oh, my goodness. You touch them all, it's going to go out the top almost. Oh, boy. My, oh, my.
Well, what's easier?
Well,
he frees the back when he doesn't have to blast it out very long and very far, and he's throwing the middle. I mean, you're playing a low percentage shot no matter what you like, which one you like here. You come around the corner.
I think coming around the corner is a better chance of eliciting the miss that you need.
You could corner freeze that top one too, but I mean, you've got to lock it right on the corner, and a thin corner, because you want it to come onto the back stone if he plays it. It's tough. It doesn't matter what he plays here, it's tough. I'm not seeing a corner guard helping you a lot. when you've got 2 stones left, this has got to come in and bury on something. I kind of know what he was looking at there. He was thinking if he just bites the rings, he's got anything off the nose one way or the other, it might jam, but it's asking for a lot.
Well, trying to keep hope alive here is Dustin Kalthoff. Needs to get this someplace where it won't be gotten.
This is going to be a bit of a guess, too. I mean, we've seen draws to the corner. We've seen draws wide to the corner, but I don't think we've seen an attempt going out quite this wide.
Now, this is new territory. It's a heck of a time to have to do it.
Yeah.
Dustin Kalthoff with his first. Well, needs to get there first. Okay, we're on the rings now. Can you get all the way over? All the way over, just on the side. Can't afford to slide out. You need that rock. That's about as good as he could have thrown it, I think.
Yep. He's still got shot rock. Didn't get quite as much curl as he would have liked. I mean, he was a long ways by that stone that he was trying to bury on, so only got a sliver underneath. But this is still a shot where, now you flip the script here, Totzek is playing an inside-out hit way out in the corner, and how many times would he have thrown a hit out here?
So Totzek going to make this takeout to seal the victory. Taking another extra second. His final and 8 is on the way. Trying to work it over. Gotta catch it, and you did. And that'll be good enough for the victory. Congratulations to Sixten Totzek and the team from Fuessen, Germany. They are the winners of the Hack2House Alberta Curling Series Major.
Well, a very entertaining game. Came down to one real big end, as it turned out. Dustin Kalthoff had a few chances, not able to generate the deuce to get himself back into it. Runs out of rocks here in the 8th.
And everybody immediately hits the deck yard.
That's what I was noticing too. Well, this is it's only the second weekend of the season for first weekend of the season for the Kalthoff team, and maybe I think the third for the Totzek team, in 9 games.
Well,
9 games since Thursday night.
9 games. Well, they have earned themselves a pint this evening, win or lose. And I feel like we've earned one too, at least in solidarity. So for James Gordon, our producer, Shawn, Joyce, I'm Dave Schmel. We thank you so much for joining us on Curling Stadium. Have a pleasant day.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.